How's it going there, YouTube? This is Quinn, that's Snazzy iPhone guy, and this is my video review of the MacBook Pro. I've owned this machine for a couple weeks now, have put it through its paces, and can kind of give you my final thoughts and conclusions on it. First of all, this is the 2.2 GHz i7 15-inch model. This will run you $21.99 US off the shelves. I got the student discount, so it was $19.99 for me. Still a pretty penny to pay for a machine like this. Now, one of the things that was the most impressive about this computer to me was the specs. I mean, they were insane. And historically, and it still is the case, but you can always get a better value out of a desktop machine. It's just plain and simple. The parts in laptops are smaller, they fail faster, so there has to be a better warranty in place. And so you do pay a lot more for a laptop that's powered the same as a desktop. However, this line of computers came out and it was really similar, very similarly spec'd to a lot of their iMac offerings. So I was thinking to myself, wow, does it actually compete with the other iMac models on the line? And we'll get into that in a minute. I took a Geekbench score of this computer and then the 2009 model. It was the i7 27-inch iMac. It's still spec'd, quote unquote, higher than that of this laptop, but this laptop outperforms it due to a bunch of different items, which I'll show you at a later time. But let's talk about the computer itself. It is a beautiful machine. You're going to see right here, and we'll zoom in to give you a little feel for it. On all the ports, I mean, they're pretty basic. You're going to see the MagSafe, the Ethernet, the FireWire 800, the new Thunderbolt port, which we really haven't been able to see exactly what that's capable of because there's not really any devices out on the consumer market that take advantage of this LightPeak / Thunderbolt port. But this also acts as your mini display port. So if you're outputting to a TV or to a Apple Cinema display, that will do that as well. You have two USB 2.0 ports. I was really disappointed that we didn't see any USB 3.0 ports on this machine. USB 3.0 is really starting to get into the game, and the fact that Apple hasn't put it in is quite disappointing. I know they do want to push this Thunderbolt port, and it is capable of faster speeds than that of USB 3.0, but we have to keep in mind FireWire 400, which was the competitor of USB 2.0, and obviously, as we can see right now, that didn't quite take off, nor did FireWire 800. So, you know, I know that Apple wants to develop their own technologies, and that's great for them, but I do think they should support the universal mediums because there's no way, and I guarantee you right now, as cool as Thunderbolt is, there's no way Thunderbolt will outdo USB 3.0 in the long run. USB 3.0 will have far more devices, and that's why I think it's dumb of Apple not to put that in. Anyway, we have an SD card slot, we have the optical out, and then the headphone jack out. The headphone jack actually is a pretty good quality historically in Apple laptops and all Apple products. Apple's kind of crapped it out, haven't put a very good contact in here, so you don't get great sound even when you do have, a great EQ or what be it inside of your, on the software side. So. They did seem to put a little bit more effort into this, and I was getting pretty good output quality from this alone. So of course you have your button here to tell you how much battery life you have left. Apple claims 7-hour battery life, and I can tell you right now that that was not what I received. I got good battery life. It was probably 5 hours, but it was not 7 hours. But keep in mind, 7 hours probably would be achievable if you were doing something so simple as a word processor. I mean, if you were typing notes for 5.5 hours on minimum brightness, you could probably get 7 hours out of it. But I was browsing the net and downloading stuff, and I was, encoding video, and so the battery is very dependent on what kind of processes you do on your computer, obviously. On the side here, we have the optical slot for CDs and all that other good stuff, and then you also have a Kensington lock slot if you need that for security purposes. Optical slot is good. They moved away from the crappier Machita drives, I believe, and I've been using the optical drive in here quite a bit. I probably used it to burn 30 discs. They've ranged from CDR to CDRWs to DVD-Rs to DVD dual layers, and it's been a pretty good burner, and it's pretty fast as well. So I do think they put a pretty good optical drive in here. I am going to be showing you a video later this week. I'm actually going to be pulling the optical drive out and placing the optical drive in an external closure and then sticking a secondary hard drive in here. It'll be quite the adventure and it'll be interesting to see, but that's for, of course, a later date. You're going to get your fans here on the back, and that's why there's this plastic is, this computer does run extremely hot, as does most of Apple's computers, but this one is like unfathomable. It was not at all unusual for my computer to go over 200 degrees. And I mean, that's not, I mean, the computer itself is probably fine, but your legs seriously start to burn. So, I mean, it's kind of hit or miss on that one, and it's not really the best situation, but what can you do? You have the backlit keyboard here, of course. It works great. It gets pretty well bright, and you have that control. Of course, you have the multi-touch trackpad, and then you have the pretty nice 15-inch display. I feel like, and I don't know because I didn't have the previous generation, but I feel like Apple put a better display in here. I mean, the pixel rate is the same, but the display does seem much higher quality, and it may just be my thought, it may just be me convincing myself that it's better because I actually own this machine, but it does seem better than predecessors, and that's interesting to note. Other than that, though, this thing runs like a madman in terms of video encoding, and I'll show you the Geekbench Test here in just a second at the end of the video so you can kind of compare and contrast between the 2009 iMac model, or it was the 2009 top-of-the-line iMac model, and then this is the top-of-the-line stock MacBook Pro you can get. But encoding video, I was encoding video in 4 minutes, wherein my Mac Mini, the dual Intel Core Core 2 Duo with I think a 2.4 GHz processor, it was taking probably 30 minutes. So this is wicked fast. I mean, it was encoding video in a fifth of the time that my other computer was, and you do spend $1,200 more for that, but boy, do you get performance out of this bad boy. And I was so impressed at how much power you get out of this machine. It's the most powerful laptop I've ever used. And I know, and I'm careful to say that because there are PCs that you can get out there for less money than this that are faster, that are better, but it's pretty impressive. One thing to note is I feel like Apple kind of cheaped out on the quality a little bit. I mean, there's some build manufacturing issues I've had. These ports are slightly misaligned on the side. So with my hinge dock, it's a bit of an issue. I thought I bent them myself, but it turns out they were like that by stock. Obviously, you have good Apple customer support, so I'm going to go and try to the Apple Store and see if I can't get that replaced. I had a hard drive issue. This is the second model I've had. I had a hard drive issue the first time around, and of course they replaced that, and it's fine now, but that was a bit of an annoyance and a bit of a worry the first time around too. So I don't know if they spent all their time on making sure that these were really good in quality control. They might have pushed them out a little bit too fast, but one thing to note. Other than that, though, this machine flies. I absolutely love it. Again, video encoding is wicked fast. It can run several applications simultaneously. Obviously, that's dependent on the RAM. I only have the 4 GB stock. Plan to update to 8 GB in the coming months, but I'm very impressed with this machine. I didn't think it would be as powerful as it is, and I couldn't be more satisfied with it. So all in all, and you'll see the Geekbench scores after I say my closing adieus, but all in all, this is an excellent value machine. I mean, it's beautiful in its form. It's built out of aluminum, awesome construction, and it really is just a lot better than I even imagined it to be, which for a $2,100 computer is saying something. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment, and as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.